Welcome back everybody, let's have a look at Matic then, shall we? So Matic, a coin that this channel's kind of founded on. We've lost a fair bit of interest with it, but occasionally we like to revisit it. And it's been doing something reasonably interesting, but nothing special, but we're going to have a look at it anyway. So first of all, what we've got to be aware of is that I do believe that Bitcoin is looking to pull back. I know that a lot of people think that it's not, and the good thing about this trade is that basically if I'm wrong, then I can go ahead and long it, and if I'm right, then I can profit in the short. And I think that it's going to break down, but not without a concerted effort to pump and then crash. That's basically the way I think it's going to go. So it's a low leverage, but I do think it's going to break down, and technically I'm still in profit at the moment with this short. My target is going to be 10,500, so I've got my take profit at 10,600 just to get my money, because I still think that there's a chance that this is going to do a big bounce and continue basically to the moon. So I'm not bearish long term at the moment, I'm bearish short term, and we'll see where that takes us. So 10,500 is where I think it's going to bounce from. I think that's where the wick is going to take us, but there is a CME gap at 9,600, so we all got to be aware of that. Not that I'm a big believer in gaps need to be filled. There's a gap right down here, right down here there's a gap, so it doesn't have to happen, and let's just hope that that not all gaps do get filled, because that'd be horrendous if we have to fill that one there. So I do believe that Bitcoin's coming down, so we have to bear that in mind when thinking about Matic. So let's have a look at the Matic chart then, shall we? We don't need to talk about Bitcoin too much. So I made a video a couple of weeks ago saying that I think that Matic isn't the worst thing of all. It's underperformed for a few reasons, and just to recap on those reasons is that it's basically been manipulated, not in the right sense of the word. Everyone talks about whales and things like that. That's not what happened. Binance and Matic have basically been pushing their developments. So first of all, there was mainnet and staking coming out. So there was also at the same time, to celebrate that milestone for Matic, they had a trading competition on Binance. So people were incentivized to trade it up and down and side to side. And basically what that sort of thing does is, yeah, it's good for pumps and dumps, but it's not good for chart formation. So that's what happened around here. Anticipation of mainnet and staking, and then that silly Binance competition. So it kind of like did kind of do alright from it, but it's made it all a bit messy. We had our golden cross here, but it's pretty underwhelming, and unfortunately the golden cross was at the same time as the announcements of the mainnet and blah blah blah, and it in my mind it wasn't allowed to play out properly. Now, just to have a brief summary of what's going on with Matic, there's a 2.7 cent area of resistance, which is so important. We touched it here on the retrace after the parabolic top, retraced it again here, we hit it here, and we hit it here. So 2.7 cent is a very important number for Matic. We also have this upwards trending level of what used to be support, which is now turned to resistance, which we're looking to hopefully manage to stay above. We kind of had the same sort of problem with it around here, and we got back above it, but since we broke down from it, we tested it a few times, and we've not really made any decent effort to get above it. We've been rejected getting closer to it. Yesterday we broke above it and closed above it, and today we don't know what we're doing, and just from the state of this rejection coincides to me the state of the market, which is kind of getting a bit toppy. But in all fairness, a trend is a trend and a chart is a chart, and what I'm looking at here is reasonably bullish, but just because we've got a bullish chart doesn't mean that we're not subject to whatever Bitcoin decides to do, which could quite easily be dump. Let's have a look at the sats to see if there's any rhyme or reason to what's going on with the sats. Unfortunately, with the Satoshis, we have formed a death cross here. So that is definitely not a bullish situation. The death cross has only just taken place, but it's taken place nonetheless. What this could mean is that the sats go down while Tether goes up. But in order for that to happen, it would need Bitcoin to rally. Otherwise, what would happen here is that we will actually be rejected from these levels. The green 50 exponential, the 200 exponential, so not making our way above 207 sats is what I would say is likely given this kind of setup. However, we are kind of moving up ever so slightly. A death cross is a death cross, but when it's Matic, some of these indicators don't mean a great deal. As you can see, the golden cross didn't really mean much, and the death cross, there's no reason for us to say that this death cross is going to count for much either. We've got a nice looking RSI, that in itself is bullish. We've got a cross on the MACD in bearish territory, all of that looks okay. So I'm willing to undermine this death cross on Sats in favour of the other indicators. But again, this isn't a bullish chart. If you're looking at just generally this chart and this chart formation, it's not bullish. It's messy. It's all over the place. It's difficult to work out. What I would say though, however, is if we do break above 207 sats, 209 we'll call it, 210 actually to be safe, if we break above there and stay above that level, then I would say that actually, yeah, we might be looking at some Matic mega moves. This is very early days because we are only just getting above this trend line for the first time in what looks like best part of a month, and it's a nasty looking candle. It's not really a candle. It's just a giant wick on both sides. But we have to give it credit where credit is due. It closed above there yesterday. It may close above there today, but I think this will be subject to a dump if Bitcoin dumps. Now I could be wrong on that. The reason I'm talking about Bitcoin so much is because we have this trend line here which goes back in time over 3 years, where we get rejected and supported from rejected and supported and rejected, and currently being rejected from it. If we break above there, then it is turbo time for Bitcoin, and this is where that situation could happen, where we see Matic sort of break into this area and make its way up to 2.7 cent, while its sats are still below 209. You could have that scenario, and so you could still make money from Matic, but the money would be made mainly in Bitcoin because the sats are still remaining the same or going lower. For 2.3 cent, or we can call it 2.4 if we can't count these wicks, but between we'll call it 2.3.5 cent. That is an area of rejection really, and about 2.3 to 2.34. I should really put a blue box in there because that in itself has noticeably become a rejection point. So 2.3 to 2.4, this area here. That is definitely an area of support now, resistance for Matic. So this is why we've struggled so much. So we can see that we're rejected here, here. These wicks sort of come within it and come right back down beneath it, rejected here, and rejected here. So actually between 2.3 and 2.4 cent is a big deal for Matic also. So Matic's just forming these a whole range of supports and resistances within a small area, but the important thing to note is if we can make our way above these and this, then it's not going to be blue sky breakout, but it should be a big one all the way up to 3.4, which doesn't sound a great deal, but that coincides with a simple line. I don't need a blue box for that. A simple line that comes into this level here, and that is the last level of resistance before we get to our all-time highs of candle bodies. So we're talking about 4.16 cent. So yeah, breaking above 2.7 cent, I get bullish on this one all the way up to 3.4. But at the moment, it's still very early days, and there's nothing to say that this is going to actually survive this super resistance here. This hopefully will be support, uptrending as well. But we've got resistance box here, and then from here to here should be a nice big move. Let's measure that one out, and that would give us a total of 12.5%, 13% before our next anticipated rejection level. Personally, I don't want to get involved in Matic right now. I need to see a bit more of an effort taken from it, and I also don't really want to get involved in altcoins until this trend line has been broken to the up and we see supports and continued movement from Bitcoin. But for those who like to slate Matic, don't give it a hard time. It's been good to us in the past. I'm sure it can be good to us again in the future. It's not a scam, it's a cryptocurrency. And this is what cryptocurrencies do. If you watch my channel, you'll notice that recently I've been shilling XRP, which everyone also says is a scam. It's just a chart. It's a cryptocurrency. It moves up, it moves down. If it's going up and you've bought into it, it's not a scam then, is it? If it's going down, I'm sure you're likely to call it a scam. At the end of the day, everything is subject to massive volatility, even Bitcoin. Look at the state of this. You could call Bitcoin a shitcoin when you look at a chart like that. There's a lot of other charts in cryptocurrency that actually look a lot more progressive than this. Technically this, until recently, I would say has been consolidating since its 2017 top. So, you know, it's not the be all and end all, is it? And when you look at Matic, you know, the chart, as messy as it looks, I mean, it's messy, there's no getting away from it, but actually I'd probably say that it looks better than Bitcoin. It's not as old as Bitcoin, but if you look at this chart, it looks pretty bad. But this is our low. We didn't come down to revisit that. We came down this low, which was okay, but it wasn't our actual low. So I think that there's a lot to be said for Matic, and I suppose the last laugh will be the people who are actually involved in it, and the people who are staying away. I can understand why. You know, no one wants to get involved in a coin that does this or this, but they do want to be involved in a coin that does that. So I'm not saying Matic's going to do something like this anytime soon, but it's definitely on the cards. Matic will have a day in the sunshine again at some point soon, but at the moment it looks like it wants to turn a corner, but there's a few barriers and hurdles in the way, and we'll wait to see how this one plays out. Bullish above 2.4 cent, definitely up to 2.7 cent. Rejection from there naturally, but super bullish after that. I'll leave it with you there. I hope that was somewhat useful for you. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. Join me on Telegram. Take it easy.